plan strategically. I can get it right. I'm gonna go where the winners go. 'Cause failing ain't an option, no. It ain't in my blood. All I do is try to come.
Oh my gosh. Happy Monday. Happy Monday. Don't give up. Just be about it. That is the intro song for HG. So happy Monday. Happy Monday. Thank you for tuning in yet again another Monday. As you know, this is Monday Beyond the Mics. This is the place where we go beyond surface level topics in relationships. This space provides us with an opportunity to delve into more personal and profound aspects of our lives. So, thank you for being here. Thank you for our faithfuls. Thank you for the newcomers. If this is your new time, welcome, welcome, welcome. Before we go any further, co host, how has your Monday been?
My Monday is going, but tonight we want to take a minute and celebrate Coach Pache as today is her birthday. So let's get those happy birthdays in the comment for Coach Pache as she has went around the universe one more time. So we are grateful and thankful for Coach Pache. So happy birthday.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes, I have went around. God has allowed me to go around one more again, one more again. I have went around. So again, thank you all for being here. As a disclaimer, personally, we talk from our personal experiences in the hopes that it would move someone and push them past their pain to their purpose or whatever, seeking counseling, seeking coaching, whatever it looks like to them. That's why we are here to share what we've been through so you don't have to go through the same thing. And if you are going through some things that we talk about, that you seek help. Again, house rules, as we always say, respect, respect, respect. That is the number one house rule. I would like to state if disrespect is displayed in the chat or on the platform, unfortunately, you will be removed. That is just HG rules here. We are big on respect. So, with that being said and that out of the way, what are we talking about tonight, co hosts?
Tonight, we're going to talk about transactional versus transformational in relationships. So, here are a few questions or things to think about. Are you at, are you sure your relationships are as deep as you think they are? What if loving connections is just a series of transactions in disguise? In this episode, we will explore the surprising truth behind power, control, and emotional vulnerability in transactional versus transformational relationships. So, what do you think about that?
Very interesting. But before we go on, because we're going to do this all night, thank you, Eric. Thank you, Lady Dawn, that comes on Thursday nights. Thank you, thank you, thank you all. Transactional versus transformation. This is very, very, very tricky. And we're going to dive into it and we're going to get into it and see what the difference is and how it plays out in power, control, and emotional vulnerability. And again, oh, we're gonna have a long night. Thank you, Reginald. Thank you, Reginald. So yeah, let's just get into it. And thank you all for being here. Thank you for the faithful followers for always tuning in Monday nights. We know you could have been anywhere, but you are here with us, and we appreciate you all. So let's talk about transactional relationships. And that is a relationship based on exchange or mutual benefit. Each party expects something in return for what they gave, whether it's emotional support, service, or resources. These relationships are often short-term and task focused. Transformational relationships are relationships based on growth, trust, and long-term connections. The focus is on mutual empowerment, personal development, and creating lasting value for both parties. So, those are the definitions. I'm quite sure we will go back as some more start to trickle in and we give a recap on what we're talking about. So, co host, let's
Yeah.
let's just get into it.
Okay, let's talk about the power. So, power in relationships refer to the ability to influence, guide, or affect the behavior of the other person, whether intentionally or unconsciously. It can be shared, one sided, or shifted based on circumstances in transactional relation. So, in that circumstance, anything before I go on about the transactional or in the power?
No, no.
Okay. So the power balance, power is often equal or conditional, with both parties having leverage tied to what they bring to the relationship. The power dynamics, the party offering more valuable resources, it could be money, skills, or connections, may hold the power. The focus, the balance of the power tends to center on what can be exchanged rather than an intrinsic qualities. So here's the question: how do you define power in your relationship? And do you think a relationship can start as transactional and then evolve into something transformational?
And that's a good question. And that's for also you all in the chat. We know we like for y'all to chime in and get on in here with us. We're going to drop the link. And if y'all want to pop up, y'all can pop up. First of all, I think it's interesting because I never thought of transactional relationships in the terms of power. We think
Okay.
we're just, having that transactional relationship. So I just want to say that. I think it can there's a balance that must take place. Power in a healthy relationship looks like it's about mutual respect, I would say, shared decision making. Both parties feel valued and empowered to express their needs and desires without fear of judgment or dismissal. Also, power can also mean the ability to positively impact your partner's emotional state, which I think is very interesting and powerful if you are able to impact someone's emotional state, such as offering support, encouragement, or validation when needed. So I do think that part is, and then you ask me, do I think transactional relationships can revolve into transformation? I believe it can. It just requires a mutual effort on both parts. And this is just what I believe, and a shared willingness to grow. What are your thoughts?
I think in the transactional, I think maybe in the beginning, people's relationship may be more transactional because they're still learning each other. I think that when it comes to power, it all depends on upbringing and the background of those dynamics is how it can go, because we often talk about the alpha male or the alpha female or the
Hmm.
beta, because they're beta males and beta females. So when we start looking at the the dynamics of how the two people in the relationship actually function, then it may be transactional. Because again, it could be connections, right? Someone's like, okay, well, if we're in this relationship, I can introduce you or increase your network, right? Your net is, so if that's the connecting aspect of the relationship, then you will have the person being there for who they can be connected to. So it's kind
Hmm.
of like you see those, sometimes they talk about in Hollywood, they put two people together for ops. So it looks good, to get that other person out there. So that to me is a transactional relationship. You kind of understand what it's about in the beginning, and then it can move to transformational if the two parties are looking to move forward, because in transformational it's also that aspect: how do you inspire me to be better, because that's
Hmm.
transformation.
And that's good. And to your point, it's the power of it's the mutual empowering of each other, aimed at lifting both parties rather than dominating one other, right? Because if you have more power over the other, then what are we doing here? And focus, both individuals actively working to share influence and encourage and mutual growth. So pretty much everything that you just said. So I think it can work, like you said in the beginning. It can transform into that. So let's move on. Let's go to our clip. Let's go to our clip. and see what the transformational and what is it? Transactional. Let's see what we gather from this.
If both of the parties work, was the household responsibilities also divvied up 50-50 in your experience?
No.
No, women are doing
I think
more.
women always get the short end of the
That's
stick.
why I
And
don't
y'all
work.
perceive,
No, blame it.
y'all want to point it
That's why I
out
don't
to
like
us.
working. That's why I don't like working as
They
much,
want to
'cause women,
point it
we
out
always
to us
do.
like, oh, I'm going to pay 50%, I'm going to take care of this. But when the woman is taking on the brunt of the child
Absolutely.
rearing, she's cleaning, she's cooking, she's doing the laundry, treating your doo-doo stains in your drawers, it's totally unbalanced.
I agree. If I'm doing all of that, there's no way that I'm contributing to bills. Like, why am I like? You're my child now, so like
You're our
you're-
child too, because
you're-
we have to.
So
We
you're
have to
our child.
financially.
No, no. If you're only doing finances, but it's a
Or I'm talking
partnership.
back.
It's a partnership.
I'm talking back.
If, if you're working, but I'm doing everything else, this is a partnership. It's a partnership.
I thought that's interesting because she said it's a partnership, but even to their point, they're keeping score and keeping track of who's doing what. What are your thoughts in terms, because it sounds what they're talking about being in a relationship, but the relationship that they're talking about appears to be transactional.
Oh, absolutely. I think that's the problem when people keep score, when people are doing things that instead of saying, I'm in this relationship to see, how we are going to be, opposed to trying to be in the relationship to say, oh, well, I did this, or it's 50-50. Where's your 50? I honestly, for me personally, I don't think that that is a good relationship. I think there is never, I don't think that there's ever 50-50. I think in some areas one person may bring 80 and somebody has the 20 today, and then somebody may have the 10 when the other has the 90, and somebody one day may bring the 100. So if you're looking at it from a perspective of a partnership, then as a partner, we're not keeping score, we're keeping each other together, which is totally different.
And that's the part I said when she said this is a partnership. I'm like, it can't be a partnership because you're keeping score of everything that's going on and everything that's taking place. So I just want the viewers, what do y'all think about that clip in terms of that being a relationship, transactional or transformative? I think for them, they were saying or trying to state that they were in a relationship, but it just sounds transactional to me. So talk to us out there in the chat. What are your thoughts? And we are going to continue to move on.
Well, I would say before we go into that, as they're thinking, just remember to like, share, subscribe. We like super chats. And as we stated earlier, today is Coach Pache's birthday. So give us some happy birthdays in the chat. All right. So we're going to talk about control. Control, it means it refers to the ability to direct outcomes or dictate terms within the relationship. It often reflects the degree to which one party exerts authority or influence. In the transactional relationship, it's high control. These relationships often involve explicit agreements or conditions. Control is used to ensure fairness and adherence to agreed upon exchanges. Then there's rigid dynamic. The rigid dynamic is there is less flexibility as the relationship relies on defined expectations and outcomes. And then there's the control as a tool. Each party exercises control to protect their interest or enforce the transaction. So the question would be, have you ever been in a transactional relationship where control played a significant role?
Let me think. I no. And I can say not to where, okay, now that we're talking about it and thinking about it, not to where it was blatant control, but more so me putting myself in a situation, and we
Okay.
talked about this before, to where I wasn't able to depart because of what was built together. So
Okay.
control in that sense, not lording it over me, but it was control and transactional in the sense that I couldn't move on from that space yet, if that makes sense.
Okay. Okay.
So how
Um,
about you?
oh, yes, I have definitely been there. Um, the control as a tool, yeah, as the transaction, with someone saying, this is what I've done, and this is, and if you want this, and things of that nature, which is not healthy at all. But yeah, I have been in that situation before. Absolutely.
So even with that, how did it make you feel? And for the viewers, how did you come out of that to leave them with some tools or
I think, how did it make me feel? It was just like, wow, because I didn't see it. I think is often, even let's say as today is your birthday, right? You reflect and say, what would I have told myself 20 years ago? Or what would I have told myself? So when you're in it, you're not necessarily thinking about it like, something's not right or it doesn't feel right. I don't know if I had the words or the understanding at the time. I just knew it was something I didn't want to be a part of. How did I get out? I slowly just began to build myself to a place that I was like, okay, I need independence from this person, right? Because when someone is taken care of, so as they were talking about 50-50, if you have someone taking care of all your needs, right, in terms of finances and things of that nature, then the dynamics look a little different, I think. But once you come to a point to say, no, 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 I can take care of that myself, or I can do that, then the dynamics change for you as the individual. So I think that the biggest point is I had to find the strength in me to become the woman I am today, if I had to just kind of sum that up.
and it's good because it kind of mirrored what I just said, but mine was in a different form. I put myself under that control. You didn't see it coming. But at the end of the day, it's like we had to figure out a strategy and a plan to move forward because we both know this is not it. And this is
Right.
not working. So whether you put yourself in that situation or if it's lorded over you, you know that I need to move on from this. So that's good. Thanks for sharing that. So now
No.
let's move on to transformational relationships, which is low control, right? Control gives way to trust and collaboration. Instead of trying to direct the relationship, both parties create space for autonomy and growth. Flexibility. These relationships are more adaptable in transformational relationships, allowing each person to have freedom while respecting the connection. Control versus guidance. Instead of control, guidance and influence are used to foster growth. Oh, right, they're talking. Hold on, hold on.
Reginald says finances are a touchy subject right now in relationships. Definitely something to be discussed. Personally, as a man, major bills I will take care of, but it's two people that can gain together. Absolutely. I think, it's about having it's communication. I think I'm
Mhm.
I'm thinking about Lady Dawn B, as she said, at this big old age, it looks different than
Mhm.
it would have maybe when you were in your 20s, right? Because you were maybe trying to figure that out. But as you get, I believe, in your 40s and up, it starts to look different where you're saying, I want a partner. And if I'm going to have a partner, how are we going to do this, whatever this looks like, right? And if maybe she earns more money than he does, or vice versa, since we're talking about finances. And I remember my mentor, he said his wife made more money than him, however she never paid a bill. He was
Hmm.
like, because for him, now everyone's different. He was like, for him, and he comes from the old school, he was like, for him, he would not allow his wife to pay for the house that they lived in. That was just a no-no for him.
And that's good. So for everybody that's just tuning in, we're going to give you a little recap. Tonight, we're talking about transactional relationships versus transformational. Use your words. Blah, blah, blah. I'm losing my words on my birthday. Look what the age is doing to me. I'm losing the words. Oh my gosh. So, transactional relationships, a relationship based on exchange or mutual benefit. Each party expects something in return for what they gave, whether it's emotional support, services, or resources. These relationships are often short term and task focused. Transformational relationships are relationships based on growth, trust, and long term connections. The focus on the focus is on mutual empowerment, personal development, and creating lasting value for both parties. So that's what we are talking about. And to the point what Reginald said, and to piggyback what you said in terms of the clip, even in that, I don't even know if that was a relationship that they tried to call a partnership, but even the language and the way that they were looking at the outcome of the relationship, saying, "You're my child," well, "You're my this." And so I think that is off as well. And for those that are just coming in, we're going to play it again so you can play catch up. But hold on.
Well, that's for you to read. Go ahead.
Oh, no, hello, ladies. Happy birthday. Thanks, Mom. Sending love from Ghana. So Bravo with Sheila is actually in Ghana. So yeah, that's where she be at, out there in Ghana. Yes,
Lady
this
Don
big old
B said,
age,
yep, yes, this big old age. Love it.
all in caps. So let's run the clip back so everybody can catch up and they can chime in and say what they think about it, and then we will move on.
If both of the parties work, was the household responsibilities also divvied up 50-50 in your experience?
No, women are doing
I think
more.
women always get the short end of the
That's
stick.
why I
And
don't
y'all
work.
perceive,
Like, no, I'm playing.
y'all want to point it
That's why
out
I
to
don't like
us.
working. That's why I don't like working as
They
much,
want to
'cause women,
point it
we
out
always
to
do.
us like, oh, I'm going to pay 50%. I'm going to take care of this. But when the woman is taking on the brunt of the child
Absolutely.
rearing, she's cleaning, she's cooking, she's doing the laundry, treating your doo-doo stains in your drawers, it's totally unbalanced.
I agree. If I'm doing all of that, there's no way that I'm contributing to bills. Like, why am I like? You're my child now, so like
You're our child too, because we have to financially.
No. If you're only doing finances, but it's a
Or I'm talking
partnership.
back.
It's a partnership.
I'm talking back.
If you're working, but I'm doing everything else, this is a partnership. It's a partnership.
So I just think personally that their whole definitions are off in terms of partnership. And because for me, I would say that's not what a partnership is to me. Even looking at it in terms of them being your child.
I think I agree with that. I also think, like, I think about my parents, right? My parents, my mom raised us like she was working before she met my dad. Once she met my dad and started having children, he worked, she stayed home, right? For those who don't know, my father ended up getting shot, being in a wheelchair. So then she became the caregiver for him. And my thing is, when you start basing things on finances to that degree, then it's like, well, where's your 50 now? You can't do X, Y, and Z, because now we're based. I mean, and I do think marriage is a partnership, and there could be a business aspect to it. But I also think that there is the other side of it where you have to have pure love. So if it's just that we're doing things as an arrangement, because that's what it sounds like. This is the arrangement.
Mm-hmm.
Pay 50% of here's the bills. You pay this half. I'll raise the kids, but I'm gonna do but this much. So now, like you said, we're taking a checklist like, oh, today I did this. What did you do? And so if you're functioning from that perspective, I think what's going to end up happening is the day that you don't hold up, quote unquote, your 50, we're going to have a problem,
Mm-hmm.
because that's how we're always looking at it, opposed to how can I outlove you? How
How
can
can
I
I outlove you?
yeah, how can I outlove you? How can I out appreciate you? Because when someone is appreciated, they start creating things to do because now the competition, so to speak, is how to outlove each other,
Which is
not
the
how to
healthy part of
outlove
it.
each other. Right. Not, oh, I paid 5 bills, you only paid 4.5. So I
Right.
think if we're looking at it at this, for me, again, I'm using Dawn, at this big old age, it's like how when you have the partner that you feel you two are invested in each other, how can I outlove you so much that you'll be like, wait a minute, I got to figure out another way to outdo what she just did, and
Hmm.
not from in a healthy way.
Right. That's good. So they're talking to us.
Uh,
Oh, I
yes.
meant to do this one.
Okay. Reginald said that clip is funny.
Oh, hold on. Hold on. Stop the presses.
We got a super chat. All right. Birthday shout out. Singing happy birthday to you.
Hey, I can hear you in my head. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Lady Dawn B said you pay all the bills and do all the housework when you're single. So when you enter into a relationship thinking those things are extra versus standard, I think it's become transactional. Absolutely. And
Hmm.
here's my thing. I think like this, and I could be wrong and I could get some, heat in the chat, and I'm okay with it. Let's just say if this, man brings this woman into his house, he was already paying those bills in his house. So
Fellas, what y'all think?
to now ask, okay, where's your 50? But you were already here. Now I can see, and this is again me. Let's say you go and you guys decide y'all want this house. This is the budget. And somebody goes beyond and say, well, no, I really want this. It's going to cost more. And then, but still there's that communication and saying, okay, well, if this is what we want, or this is what you say you want, then this is where I am. But, to say, okay, I'm going to bring you, because in my head, I'm just kind of traditional, I'm thinking she's going to go with him, right? Where if she's going with him, or if he's already there, he's already paying his own bills. Why are they going 50-50?
Fellas, chime in, please. Chime in, please. We would love to hear.
Arrangements are essential. I think that's.
Elaborate, Aaron. Do you care to elaborate? Thank you, Kathy. Yeah, I would like to hear what men think about what my co-host just said in terms of the man living there. Right, hold on, they're talking.
Reginald said, Dr. Elaine, you are right on the money. In my mind, if I take care of the house, I should not be hungry for anything. Absolutely. Because I'm going to tell you, and this is, again, I believe if a woman is taking care, I mean, if she's happy, and I know that happy wife, happy life, but happy house, happy spouse, right? If this is your strength as the provider, and I think a lot of it comes from, if I can be honest, when I watch clips like that, is I want to ask who raised you, because you usually fall into what you're familiar with. So if you grew up in a household where your father was the provider, then you automatically kind of go into that. If you grew up in a household where something else was happening, then it becomes a different dynamic. I just believe that, because you kind of mimic what you see.
Mm-hmm. So even within that and what we just watched, the question is, and for those in the chat as well, in your relationships, how do you balance giving guidance and fostering autonomy without trying to control the other person? What's your thoughts?
Well, I think again, it's conversation. It's being honest. And are you in the relationship for the right reasons? Because some people get into relationships because they want somebody to help them pay their bills. Some people get into relationships because they don't want. So because then the dynamics change. If I know I only want you for this, then this is my expectation. If I know we trust each other, we love each other, we're going to support each other, I don't think that's an issue in the right relationship.
Mm-hmm. That's good. And while y'all thinking about that, we will move on. So we are at okay, calls. We are at emotional vulnerability.
Oh, I don't know if you want to read the comment before we
Hold,
go.
yep, I was getting ready to say it just popped up.
Arrangements are essential so that there are guidelines in areas of finance, household duties, etc. However, there can't be too much rigid when love is the essential bond. Right. I mean, because some days,
Mm-hmm.
you could be like, okay, I'm raising the kids, or I cook dinner, and then he may say, oh, okay, well, you know what? I got home first. I'm gonna cook dinner. It's not like that's her job. I'm gonna sit here and wait until she comes home.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that becomes the problem. I think at the end of the day, when you realize, I go back to what I said. If I'm loving you from a pure place and you're loving me from a pure place, we're going to compete and out loving each other.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to be looking at, oh, well, you only bought in $4,326 this month. You know,
Mm-hmm.
where's your 50? Because
Right.
it's not from a pure place. Because there may be a time that if somebody gets sick, and I go back to using my parents, if somebody gets sick, what you gonna do? You're
Mm-hmm.
not holding up your end, so I'm leaving.
Right. And to
So
your point, and thanks for clearing that up, Erin. But to your point and what you just said about, okay, if she comes home, I'm not cooking dinner until she gets home, right? And that whole scenario, what just happened is a silent control
right.
because you're still controlling. You're not verbalizing it, but your actions and your behavior is saying, I'm going to control this situation in this manner. So, yeah.
But I think it also goes back to when we look at it, people are we get into the, I mean, I think we've all been there, right? Um, we get into the relationships for the wrong reasons. And when you get into
Mm-hmm.
a relationship for the wrong reasons, you have wrong outcomes. When you get into relationships for the right reason and it's pure, and I often think back to saying, when we could think about the first relationship we ever had, that was probably one of the most purest relationships, from your standpoint, because you didn't know any better. All you knew was you wanted to love this person.
Mm-hmm.
It was after life is life, and as they say, then you start learning, like, oh, okay, oh, game. And that's when we start
Right.
playing games versus, you know what, let's get back to the basics. Is there a chemistry?
Mm-hmm.
Is there a level of
Mm-hmm.
um and when I use the word intimacy, it mentally, like, are we vibing, or are we
Mm-hmm.
pretending to fit in because I want something?
Hold on, listen, look at this here.
African men totally want their food ready when they come home. So I guess we got to stay out of Africa. So I don't know.
Depending on,
Or how
what kind of woman
look,
you are.
I
If
don't,
you're a servant, you want to serve your man hand and foot. Yeah, but again, different culture.
right. But if you think about it, if you're not working and that's you, like, okay, cool, I got that.
It
That's
should be,
easy.
yeah.
But if I'm at work and you at work or whatever, and you get home first, then that's gonna look different.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
So yeah,
okay.
that's good. Let's go on to emotional
Emotion,
vulnerability.
emotional vulnerability. Emotional vulnerability is the willingness to open up emotionally, share personal experiences, and risk being seen as imperfect or flawed. In transactional relationships, limited vulnerability, so emotional openness is typically minimal, as the focus is achieving outcomes rather than forming deep connections. To my earlier point, guarded approach, individuals often cautious about revealing too much, fearing that it may affect the transaction or perceived value. Purposeful sharing. Vulnerability is used sparingly and usually to achieve a specific goal, building a rapport in negotiations. So the question is, have you ever found yourself holding back emotionally in a relationship to protect the outcome?
Um, I can say yeah, but before we go on, they laughing at you. So let's go here. And that's to this.
Lady Dawn B said, I'm crying at Dr. E. It's the stay out of Africa for me. I mean, If it's something you know you can't do, then don't try to say, okay, yeah, I could do it.
I can say to your question, have I ever found myself holding back, or in the chat, not just me, holding back emotionally in relationships to protect the outcome? Absolutely. And again, it goes to what we would just talk about, life be life. And as you get older and you get in certain relationships and you spend years and it's like, oh, gang, oh, wow, this happened. So I can say absolutely. And that was because of fear of rejection, right? Vulnerability can feel risky. You're taking a risk. Even love is a gamble, right? I don't know who made the song, but love is a gamble,
And they said
right?
love
And
is a
some hold
battlefield
back.
too. So, no.
That's right. That's right. Cyndi Lauper. And some hold back to avoid being hurt. Like I said, if the other person doesn't reciprocate what they want. So of course, if I'm putting out and I'm showing you who I am and I'm being vulnerable, but there's no reciprocity, then it's like, okay, let me pull back some because maybe this person is not there yet. They're not feeling the way that I'm feeling, and it's just not going anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So that too, and then control over the outcome. By limiting emotional exposure, individuals may feel they are better able to manage the relationship trajectory or avoid losing control. But there are times when holding back can be healthy. In certain situations, holding back can temporarily serve as healthy boundaries, right? Early stages, you don't want to let go too much. We talked about that, I believe, one of these shows. I don't know, this last week, last year, something we was talking about. But in a new relationship, taking time to assess compatibility
Oh.
before fully opening up. You just don't want to sit on the first date and be like, blah, 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 and you're just spilling out all your business, and then that's not the right one. The other one is toxic dynamics and unhealthy relationship. Emotional restraint might be necessary to protect from oneself. So before we move on, they're talking to us.
Reginald says, think about it. Back in the days when a man came home, he came home to peace and a home cooked meal. Peace. And I agree. I think again, we have, to your earlier point, we've we have been played, right? The games have been played. We either learned the games that were played and said, oh, okay, this is how it goes. So then we went out and was like, okay, I understand this. And because of all of that toxic behavior, we find it hard. When I say we, just general, we find it hard to then connect to a place of more transformational versus transactional, because we feel like, or we could have felt at one point, that is how things were communicated, or that's how relationships go. And if we watch things like scenarios like that clip, and you keep hearing this 50-50, you keep hearing it. We didn't hear that back in the day. We didn't hear, I will say this, when I got married, I didn't, my ex-husband didn't say, well, it's 50%, 50-50. No, it was kind of like, this is understood. This is what's happening. This is what's happening. And I just think it's just more, I don't know if it's social media. I don't know if, I just don't know. It just looks different. It looks different. And to hear people say that, like, oh, well, what are you bringing to the table? Is like, really? If that person that you're sitting across from is not the person you even want at the table, then let's not even have this conversation. Because if it's the right one, you won't even ask him or her, what do you bring to the table? Because you kind of know, and it's more than just looks. It's more than just, it's deeper than what you do, and it's what you do, how much money you make, and how good you look, because that's not going to sustain you
at all.
So I think that's where we have to go deeper than that, because then those questions are not asked, because it's, again, what the question is, how can I love you the more?
So they're talking. Let's see what's going on.
Bravo. What Sheila said, just had this conversation with some African men tonight.
If y'all don't know, Bravo with Sheila is in Ghana. So she's over there in read the comments.
I asked them, what does submission look like? They shared their ideas and belief about American women.
We'd love to hear that.
Okay, right.
Oh,
She got to
Sookie,
tell us what
Sookie.
they said.
Oh, Sookie, Sookie. Brother Vaughn is in the
They
house.
said,
How you
blessings
doing,
all.
Brother Vaughn?
Wait, she's telling us what they said.
Blessed. They said, okay, okay, let's do it.
I shared some things American women have lived through after sharing, they understood. So I think a lot of it is, just even in reading that, it, I think everybody wants the same thing, right? For the most part, everybody wants to be loved from a genuine place. I don't think
Mm-hmm.
everybody wants to be validated by the right person. So any person, I don't need anybody, they're lying. You want it, but you want it from the right person. And when we don't have that, that's when we start I say conforming instead of being who we truly are, because maybe we want the relationship. I know a lot of people who love. They just want to be in love, right? I don't love love. I love love with the right person. So I
Right.
think that in lies the difference. So when you're trying to conform, but if you go back to the basics, can you make me laugh? Do you understand me? Can I talk to you without judgment? Can you encourage me? And I mean, this is both ways. So can we have, can I tell you about my childhood and some of the things that were my fears, and will you recognize them and not be a trigger, right? Instead of being a trigger, you will actually be the shield to say, oh no, I know that doesn't work well for her, or vice versa for him. So I think those
Mm-hmm.
are the things that we miss when we're talking about transformational, because it's just like transformation is inspiring. When someone
Mm-hmm.
transforms your life, they've inspired you to be better. And if you're in a relationship and you are still the same person, then you making transactions. But if you are in a relationship and you can look back and say, I'm better today than I was a year ago, 6 months
Mm-hmm.
ago, 4 years ago, then that's transformation, because your life is, they're inspiring you to be the best version of you. If someone
That's
can't,
it.
someone said this, I need people around me to push me to do what I can, which means you see in me what I may not see or I'm afraid to see in me. And therefore, you are like the cheerleader both ways in being the
Mm-hmm.
best version of ourselves.
That's good. That's good. They're talking.
Lady Dawn B says, it takes two people to create a peaceful home environment. If you want to walk in the door to a hot meal, make sure you're doing what's necessary for a woman to make it happy. I mean, I agree with that. And I think even if, you know what, he may have had a hard day, and his attitude when he comes in has nothing to do with what's happening at home. It could be, work just
Mm-hmm.
was just too much. But if he knows he comes home and you bring his peace, you are his peace, and vice versa. She could have had a rough day, and she knows, you know what, all I want to do is just put my head on his shoulders, and I know it's going to be all right. I know I still got to deal with that tomorrow, and vice versa. He could feel like all I want to do is just get a hug from her, a good meal or whatever, and talk it through. Like, you know what, maybe I went off, and then no, well, maybe, you know what, tomorrow we're going to pray about this, or we're going to do. I
Mm-hmm.
think those are the things that you need to know. If I'm fighting in the world, when I come home, I don't want to fight.
You want to fight at all. At all.
Armor down. It's like walk through the door, armor off, you
Yes.
know, and we're in a good place. Reginald says, I remember an episode with Marlo Gibbs in where she talked about fixing a plate for her husband because what he goes through in the world. Yeah. I mean, I think it's funny because I've seen this debate where people have said things like, if you're married, who do you fix a plate for first, your husband or your children? And you have people, my kids got to eat. I'm like, no, it's my husband. Because guess what? Them kids ain't hungry. One. And if two, if my husband is providing and doing it, you get to eat first. Matter of fact, we got the king chair for you. Sit down, relax,
Right.
because you the man, and ain't nobody else gonna cheer like for you like I'm gonna cheer for you, because you make my
Mm-hmm.
life easy, and vice versa. So it's not one-sided. It's not, oh, what could he do for me? And let me check off this. Is what can we do for each other? And it may not look the same. And I think going back to that clip, when the woman said, well, if I'm rearing the children, if I'm doing this, if I'm doing that, that's not a 50-50, because it's understanding the roles that they have created within the relationship. Because there's some men who would adore loving to rear the children more than the mother. So I think that plays a big part in it. Lady Dawn, Reginald said Lady exactly to Lady Dawn B. Erin says, totally agree with you, Dr. Elaine. When you're with the right person, there should be a sustainable and consistent improvement in most areas of your life. Right. Because I think we cover each other, and I go back, the Bible says love covers, right? It means you could be totally bad in this and I'm totally good in this, or vice versa. But nobody will know, because when we're together, I covered your weaknesses and you covered mine.
Yeah. And no one person has everything.
Absolutely.
No one person carries everything that the other partner needs. That's the part where the partnership comes in at. You have what I don't have. He has what she doesn't have. So that's how that works. So that's good stuff. So in transformational relationships, and this is high vulnerability, emotional openness is a cornerstone. Both parties are willing to share deeply and accept each other's flaws. Pretty much what you were just saying. Vulnerability fosters trust, creating a safe space for growth and healing. Also, this dynamic allows individuals to take emotional risks without fear of judgment or exploitation. And that's good, because guess what? Now we're both in the same space. I'm no more vulnerable than you are. We are open to one another. We are open to where we're going. And again, it stems from having those conversations. Where are we going? To make the difference of, is this transactional or is this transformative? And if it's transformational, then, okay, I get to open up now because I know where we're headed. I can be in this space now because I know the relationship is no longer transactional with this person.
Yeah, and I think I'm just listening, and I know we're talking about male, female, but that could be even in your friendships. Are they transactional or transformational? Is it, if these are the things you could do for me, we can hang out. I mean, you think about, and I'm going back, like back in the day, they used to talk about the popular, the popular people in, let's say, high school or whatever, and you have the as they call the it crew versus the non. And well, if you want to be in our, I think of Carrie, right? Oh, we're gonna pretend. So you making all of these transactions, right? She was trying to fit in and thinking it didn't turn out well for the people who turned against her.
Carrie has something for everybody.
Right? They're all gonna laugh at you. But with that being said, you didn't think about people wanting you to be around for what reasons. Is it transformational? I've often said this, if I'm in anybody's life, I want to leave you better than when I met you. And if I'm not doing that, then there's a failure in the relationship, or something's wrong, right? Because and I'm not talking about you can know a lot of people, but there's a difference when you're in a true, let's say, friendship or whatever. And then even in the male female dynamic, you need to be friends. And I think that's it. When you come with your bucket list without being friends, then it's going to be transactional, because you're going to always be looking at the list to see what was the exchange. Mike McDonald says, what is a woman willing to accept or not accept to make a relationship work? Most women do want men who lack in an area. Most men will, I don't know if it was will take a woman who lacks. I'm not sure. So I just need you to clear that up.
Yeah, but from that, I think both parties will always lack something. No one person has the answer to everything. So whether male or female will lack something. And to the point where he's saying, what is a woman willing to accept or not accept to make relation? I think that's an individual thing. Everybody's different. So I don't think that's a general statement that can be made for all women because we're all different and we all look for certain things in relationships. Some of us compromises in places where others won't. So I think to that, and I can't speak to the last part.
Right. I totally agree. I think we all have our point of saying, yes, I'm willing to take this. I remember I knew a gentleman who said there was one type of woman he could never date. And I was like, what? He was like, he could never date a recovering addict. And I was like, why not if they recovered? And he was like, because in my head, I feel like we're going to go walk down the street and somebody going to know her from that point in her life. And I don't want to, but he was being honest. He's like,
But that was his right.
and
Right.
that was his
So
one thing that he could not.
yeah, right. Generally speaking, most women won't take a man who lacks. And again, I think that depends on the woman. What woman?
Right. And what are they lacking? Are they lacking common sense? Are they lacking financial? What's the lack? Because I think, again, we have to communicate and be honest once you know or you feel that that person is a person you want to know more about, because you are willing to be a part of their lives to help them in whatever that area is. And especially if that may be, quote unquote, his or her strong suit.
And he said agreed. Okay, cool. So what we're gonna do now, let's move on to another clip and let's see what we come up with this.
Everybody's needs change from like where you think where your needs were when you first started with your person. Every 2 or 3 years, you on a new level. You know what I'm saying? You don't listen to the same radio station every day. You know what I mean? You might be on another vibe. I think tapping in with your partner, finding out where they at with it, and then like meet at that spot. Because a lot of times we get in rhythms of the old, like, yo, we just gonna do this, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. She might be at 4, 5, 6 today, or this year might be 4, 5, 6, or 7, 8, 9, and you still operating on that first rhythm. It might not. Now your relationship getting a little stale. Now you like not talking. You in the, you in the den, she in the kitchen. It gets weird. I feel like tapping in every now and then, sit down, like just like this is like kind of corny, but I think just sit down and say, yo, what are your needs? What do you want? Like what are some of the things you into right now? What do you think you would like to be right now? And you'd be like, oh wow, damn, you want to know? And then you're like, because women are like that, you know what I'm saying? Like, I respect all the ladies in here. Women are different than us. Like, they be on different vibes. Like, they'll have you buy, like, it's like shoes. Like, I ain't wearing heels. I don't want to wear heels today. I'm wearing my flats. Or then I'm gonna go to my sneakers. And I feel love is like that. It's different channels.
What's your thoughts?
I loved it. I actually think it's 100%, because if a woman says, okay, you sit down and you can, let's say if you're having dinner, someone's just like, well, how was your day? And you're like, oh, okay. Like, you want to hear about it? And they actually listening and giving you maybe feedback, even if you didn't want it. It's still like, oh, okay, he actually heard. Or maybe a week or two later, how's that thing going on that you had talked about? You're like, wait a minute, he actually remembered. So I think it is those different, and I'm going to use the word frequencies, because I think a lot of times we're on different frequencies at different days. I'll use that. Today is flat shoes, tomorrow sneakers, and the next day is stilettos. So it's how I'm feeling. And if you're not having that communication, and I also say with women, if either we having a pre or a post, something's happening in our bodies all together, where today I feel like I want to be dressed up. Tomorrow I just want some sweats. And so it's like, I'm not sure where she is, but if she feels that there is communication, then she'll be like, babe, right now this is happening. And he can say, oh, okay, got it. But if you're not talking, then again, you're operating on 1, 2, 3, and she's on 8, 9, 10. And
Yeah.
you're going to say, oh, well, I don't know what's going on, or vice versa. Maybe he's on 8, 9, 10, and you're still looking at 1, 2, 3. You're not acting the same. We change every 7 years. So somebody has to understand that change that's happening consistently every 7 years. Because if you think about 7 to 14, you're not the same person. From 14 to 21, you're not the same person.
And it's I'm glad you said that because that is so funny because whoever my husband is, he gonna know all my moves. Cause listen, I told y'all before I get on my own nerves. So many times I got to put myself on timeout. Like, girl, you're tripping. Go sit down. You need a break from you. So to have that communication to let him know, like, okay, she's in flats today. She kind of just want to be comfortable. Oh, she in heels today. She feeling cute. She feeling sexy. Right now, she had on Uggs for the past week. She just want to just be comfortable and really don't want nobody to bother her because she got her Uggs on with her sweatsuit. But let's go to some comments.
Erin said, let me seize this opportunity to commend you both. There are so many wonderful things about you both. You deserve the very best in your relationships and in every essential aspect of your lives. Thank you.
Thank you, Erin. Very much appreciated. Hey, T.
T said, love is definitely different channels, but you could be on the same channel if we have the conversations. Go ahead.
Absolutely.
Erin said, the brother is hearing from God. Men ought to pay attention to pay attention to developments in his woman's life and then adjust accordingly. And I think that is a
And I
key.
don't think, yeah, I don't even think men realize how powerful that is. When it's like, oh, you in tune? You remember that? Or even a month later, we have a conversation. Yeah, so what happened with so and so? Or they go and they speak well of you to somebody else. I bumped into somebody. It could be a business opportunity. No, I told him you was the baddest thing out. Go to her if you want that. And it's like, oh my. And
Right.
then even within that, he's revealing how he feels about you. That may be a part he never even shared with you. And it just may come out in a regular conversation like, oh, I didn't even know he noticed all those things about me. Okay. So
Yeah.
that is really, really good.
Kathy says he is right on point. Thank you, Kathy.
Get that.
Lady Don B said, I appreciate the direct conversations of asking, who do you need or what, who do you need or what do you need from me today? That simple question makes the world of a difference. And I agree, because you may say, I just need a hug. And then the next day, man, I just need to go shopping. I need retail therapy, or it may be, I just need the spa, or I just need to go take a walk, or can we walk and talk together? I think about something in business. They have this thing called walking by management, where you're walking and talking with the people that's a part of your staff. So what if we could love by management? Like, let's go take this walk. And in this walk, we just talk about whatever, and we're going to leave it out there. Whatever it is, the bad stuff, we're going to leave it out there. We're going to walk it off. We're going to talk through it. And then when we come back, we're in a different space, because we're getting the fresh air. Maybe not in New York City when it's cold. Maybe we can go walk on the island. I'm not sure. But with that being said, just having different approaches, because we're great at managing our work lives, right? But a lot of times we're not great at managing our personal lives.
And I think the key here, the key word is today, because each day is different.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you need from me today? It's like the Lord's Prayer, give us our daily bread. He's going to give us what we need in that day. So using that same touch point with your partner today, because who knows what tomorrow looks like. So I
Right.
think that's the key word. What do you need from me today? Like you said, it could just be a hug. You know what? Let's just sit here and don't even talk.
Right. I just need
I
you to
just
be
need to be in your
present.
presence.
I
I need
or
to
I
be in
just
your
want to
presence, and
lay
that's
my
it.
head on your shoulder and not say not a word.
Mhm.
Don't nobody talk. Everybody
Mhm.
be silent. I just want to stay. I just want to listen to music. I don't want to. And I think that's it, when you understand. But it goes back to the communication. It goes back to saying, if I really want to transform that person's life, whoever that person is, again, whether that's a friendship, a platonic friendship, or if it's in a more romantic aspect, you have to be honest. Both parties have to be honest. What am I looking for from this relationship? Is
Yeah.
it going to be transactional, right? Because I have some friends or people that I know, I'm like, if I need to get this done, we're going to do this. It's transaction. And that's it. Doesn't mean there's any love, but we understand what it is, right? And then there's some people that is transformational. They have inspired you to be a better version of you. So those type of friendships and relationships you hold on to, because everybody can't do that.
Right. So what I'm going to do, someone is texting me and she is trying to get on, and for some reason I just dropped the link again. So that's a very, very good point. And like you said, even with us, we're friends to the end, but sometimes there's transactions that goes on between us, but we know we're friends. It's not based on, hey, I need you to do so and so. Oh, can you fill in for so and so? It's not based on that. So transactions do happen within relationships. However, that's a solid relationship. And it's like, you remember when you did so and so for me, or we never do that. So it's not that, oh, I remember when. So because you may ask me to do something and I'm not able to do it, but it's never, when I ask you to do something, it doesn't come back as, oh, well, remember when I asked you to do so and so and you could,
So now I
it's
can't do
not
it for you since you couldn't
do it.
do it for
Right,
me.
right. Like, what are we doing right now? Everybody grow up.
Oh,
What moves I got, T? What you talking about? He said, Coach got moves.
okay.
I don't
T, tell
know.
us happy birthday. Today is Coach's birthday. Reginald said, we as Black men need to communicate with our better half. She's not a mind reader.
Hmm.
Yes. And I do think, a lot of times, we, and a woman that loves you, she's going to investigate. And what I mean by that, I don't mean nosy and insecure. She's going to be like, are you okay? Or I sense you're moving differently. She's going to pick up on those subtle things, even if you like, I'm all right. I'm all right. She's like, no, you're not. Because again, when you are in tune, or even from a marriage perspective, that two becomes one. It's like, if you're not feeling it, I'm feeling what you're not. I'm like, something's not right. Because remember, if I'm trying to outlove you, I'm gonna know how you move, not necessarily like Angie from what's that, Angie and Marcus from oh god, the
Oh,
title. Yes,
yeah.
but with like his
Why did I
heart,
get married?
right, his heartbeat, and when he lied, he like, we don't, not to that aspect, but
Yeah.
to a point that the person. Often I think about the Bible verse that says, "Know them that labor among you," and we usually use that from preachers and coming into your house. But if you're in a relationship, that person is laboring with you on a daily basis. So you should know the person that's laboring with you, that even if you pick up the phone and you're like, hello, you're like, what's wrong? That hello doesn't sound right. There's something else in there. So, I
That's
just,
even friendship, because that's what us. Sometimes you'll call, I'm like, nah, what's the matter? I don't feel like talking about it right. Okay. And same vice versa. You could call, the tone, right? You know the tone of your friend. You know the tone of that person you love. You know the tone of that person that you are in relationship with that you're in covenant with, basically.
Kathy said,
It's good.
he mentioned asking, not assuming. And that's true. Because a
It's
lot of
good.
times, and even women, we'll be like, you should have known. No, how are you going to know if you didn't tell him?
Right.
Because we're like, well, he know. Terrence says, as a man, I've learned to listen and pay closer attention. And I also think that comes to maturity, right? When you get older, you start to say, wait a minute, this is, when you're younger, you're like, whatever's wrong. Bravo. What Sheila said, we need you to please like, subscribe, and share. All right. So please do that. She says, thank you. You're on point, chat, with the thumbs up, 11 watching and 11 thumbs. So we thank you, thank you, thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank you. Thank you. So yeah, that's good. Thank you. Thank you very much. We've been having birthday breaks all day. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. So yeah, and to the point, in any relationship that you're with, it is important to be in tune and to tap into that person. And sometimes it just takes seeing a person. It's some people I see and I'm like, hey, and then the conversation begins. Sometimes people can't even speak the words.
Hmm.
But if you're in relationship with that person, you can see the look is even off, or you can see that they're heavy and they're carrying something. So I think those are also good transformational relationships as well.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts?
No, like I said, for me, is all transformational. Inspire me to be a better version of me. Inspire me to do what it is that I think I can't do, but you see that I can do, and vice versa. I think when you have that, you're at peace, and I think you flow in your creativity better because
Hmm.
you're not worried. It's like your heart can safely trust, and that's the biggest thing about us. We see the outside, but our heart is very small, and it's the thing that's so delicate. It's so delicate that if we don't pay attention, it's the very thing that can shield us from the true existence of our next, because if we don't believe it in our heart, right, there's a lot that happens that between our heart and our mind. What does it say? As a man thinketh in his heart.
So is he. So is he.
So if I don't feel that I deserve to be loved, or I don't feel that someone can inspire me from a pure place, then I'll never reach the full potential. And you'll find with I think in relationship, there's always, no matter how great the person is, there's somebody that was behind that person that was believing in them the whole time when they didn't think that they could do it, that somebody kept pushing them with their
Hmm.
words and pushing them in a kind way to support them. And I'm like, sometimes you have to give it a harsh way, but you knew it was coming from the right place.
And I think that is so beautiful when you have someone see something in you that you don't see in yourself.
Right.
And then you start to walk that. That means they're so in tune with you, like, I didn't even see that, but they like, no, you got this. You can do
Mhm.
this. You will be great at this. And it's like, me? Really? Yeah, you. I see it because people see things about us that we don't see about ourselves. Because sometimes we're just living. We're doing what we do. And we think we're just operating at, oh, I know how to do this. I know how to do this. And not realizing how special that is to someone else, or how that one thing that you do well can benefit someone else, because you're thinking it's just the thing that I do. And
Right.
you're not looking at you like at yourself like, oh, I got this, I can do this, this is my thing. No, I just do it. And somebody else may not have the capability to do it. It's like, no, that's a skill. That's
Right.
an art. Nobody else. And it's like, oh, and then you start to look at it different, your gifts different, and what you bring to the table and how you inspire people and how you help people. So I think that is so awesome.
Reginald said, Dr. Elaine, you are right. Personally, I do that all the time. I'm right, even though I'm not. I'm all right, even though I'm not. Sorry. Right. I mean, because we'll be like, I'm fine, I'm good. And then you start saying, what's wrong? You know, and
Hmm.
but then it also becomes trust. Can I trust you with my
Trust
stuff?
you.
Can
Yep.
I trust that you're not going to take what I said to you and then weaponize it? And I think that becomes an issue. And if it has ever been done to you before, then you say, you know what? I'm good. I'm not trusting anyone. But the thing that I will say to that, if that has ever happened to someone or they're stuck in that place, is, you know what? We're gonna have to learn to be vulnerable again. And it may hurt, but you've heard me say this often. You could either hurt to hurt or hurt to heal. Either way, there's some pain involved, but I'd rather hurt and heal and go through my process to be the best version of me.
Hmm. Thank you, Sharon. Yes, I have been enjoying it. It has been an eventful 2 day, 2 days. I don't know. I'm losing my words. Use your words. When I turn this new age, I don't know where words are going. It's kind of like leaving, but I'm here. I am so here. Thank you all for the birthday shout outs. I truly appreciate it. But yeah, so we have been talking about transactional versus transformational relationships tonight. I think we can wrap it up now. What do you think?
Absolutely.
So, again, I thank you all for being here on this Monday. You could have been anywhere else, but you chose to tune in with us here again. We could not do this without you. So, we appreciate you again. I thank you for all the birthday wishes. And just know the difference of transformational and transactional. Know what relationship you want to be in. If you want to be in a transactional relationship, that's fine. Just know what comes with it. Don't think something great is going to come out of it. If you want to be in a transformational relationship, hey, be in a transformational relationship. That's great as well. Just know who you are, know yourself, and know what you want. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate you. And from Homegirls Inc., you know what we always say? There is more in you. Co host, what do you have to say?
I would just end on it, the
Ooh, you all over the
transactional.
place.
The transactional is
Look,
something that we can get anywhere, but the transformational is something you have to be willing to wait on.
yeah. And that's what we will say. And guess what? We will be back next Monday. I believe we will be talking about what's love got to do with it. So y'all might need to grab, yeah, popcorn, I don't know, drink water, soda, because that's a heavy loaded question because a lot of people get stuck in love and think
But
love, we're not gonna even go. We
well, Tina already gave us the whole song, so
Yeah, I'm already getting all the way into next week, but thank you again. Thank you for being here. We appreciate y'all. Enjoy the rest of your week, and we will see y'all next Monday at 7 p.m. Bring a friend, grab somebody, I don't know, invite people. Everybody, all are welcome, all are welcome to come on in here with us on Mondays, and we thank you. Good night, and we are out.
All I do is try to construe this life of mine, and soon one day I'll be able to say I made my way. Don't give up, keep on coming, love, love. No, no, never done. Be hypnotic.
So thank you again for being here. We greatly appreciate